I bet you know the answer to this. Do you know the largest prehistoric stone circle in the UK? That's right, it's Avebury. Something like about 330 metres, 335 metres in diameter. I think it's actually the largest stone circle in the world. But sticking with the UK, if Avebury is the largest, what is the second largest? It's Stanton Drew in Somerset, apparently 113 metres in diameter. And yet, what if I was to tell you that there is a scheduled ancient monument, scheduled as a stone circle in Lancashire, at 140 metres in diameter, and nobody talks about it? However, it has in the past been described as dubious, and the legendary Aubrey Burl considered that it was a collapsed natural limestone tor. I think it's about time we went and took a look to it, don't you? We'll see if it can convince me, and we'll see if it can convince you. Is it time to knock Stanton Drew off of its perch? Well, it's definitely time to enter the time tunnel and find out. It's time to find out, is there a stone circle on Summerhouse Hill? Over to me then, earlier today on the other side of Summerhouse Hill, where initially I am going to say the name of the village wrong, but I get it right later on. A bit of context then, we are in Yealand, Conyers today, a hotbed of Quakerism and Catholicism through the centuries. Darren, what does that mean in Old English? Old English, high cultivated land. And it tells me here that the Conyers bit comes from the Norman overlords in days gone by. Some people will have you believe the Normans didn't do very well in this part of the country. We're in Lancashire, but they did. We've actually got to climb higher up the hill, up Peter Lane, to get to our stone circle conundrum. And it is on the high ground. It's right on top of the ridge. Is that just an English thing, or does that happen in other countries? Let me know. If any of you continuity obsessives out there are wondering why I'm not using the time bangle to get to the top of this very steep hill, it's simply that the energy levels on the lateral balance cones are running a bit low. So I'm saving that in case I really need it in an emergency later on. Anyhow, the way to the stone circle is up here. And I do apologise that I'm wheezing like a grampus today. I'm coming to the conclusion that this old body of mine is growing a bit thin. Anyhow, what are the sources? What do the various sources say about this stone circle? If you look at the scheduled monument listing, they don't share any doubts on it being a stone circle at all. They describe it, in fact, as an exceptionally large circle. Look, here we are, the way ahead. Then in 2014, there was one of these upland survey projects that went around looking at various things, such as antiquities and natural features, but they concluded that this is not man-made. They were convinced that it was totally geological, a totally natural feature with no involvement from man whatsoever. And it's worth pointing out as I come up this Summerhouse Hill, these limestone pavements, naturally occurring limestone pavements. And the legendary Aubrey Burl of Cumbrian Circle fame decided that this stone circle was nothing more than a collapsed limestone tor. Struth, that's in need of a health risk assessment. Anyhow, as you come up this hill, something quite extraordinary comes into view that sets your antiquarian heart aflutter. Jacket's over there now. Extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, it looks megalithic, and you can understand why some people have said that this is the remains of some form of chambered tomb. You know, stone bovery types. And they certainly look megalithic, don't they, those stones? But we will come back to this. Hold that in your minds if you can. We'll return to this in a bit. Problems, it's now raining. Previously it was sweltering. That is the British summer for you. But the other issue that we face here is that this circle is so massive that I can't capture it with the drone. To do so, I would have to exceed the 120-metre height limit that you have on these things, and I'm good, I'm law-abiding, so I'm not going to do that. I did manage to get some shots, so hopefully we can convey some of it. But it was a Lieutenant Colonel North and a J.E. Spence back in 1936 who surveyed this site, and they were both convinced and happy that this was a stone circle, the second largest in the country. Rather wonderfully, I've just met an older couple from the village, which I should have pronounced as Yealand, Conyers, I have now learnt. And they knew Lieutenant Colonel North and confirmed that he was a big fan of this. He used to run the pub, actually. But fortunately, because we're in the time tunnel with the time bangle today, when it stops raining, I can hopefully show you something of the sheer scale of this thing. Right, strike while the iron is hot. Now I just need to reverse the polarity of the neutron flow on this, and I can bring up for you in holographic form the plan of this huge circle that Lieutenant Colonel North and J.E. Spence produced. If we have a look at that, you can see that there are effectively just 4 remaining stones of the huge inner circle. You can see the peculiar round thing that we're going to come back to there, but you can see the stones A, B, C, D and D on there. Note also that there are 2 outlier stones. Now the 4 inner stones do make a perfect circumference stone circle, 140 metres in diameter. The 2 outlier stones are roughly equidistant from the centre of the circle. This then is stone A on the plan, a very odd looking stone for a stone circle, sort of riven in 2. So some people think that this was all together and something's happened to smash it up in this way. That's stone B, effectively the furthest south of the inner circle. And you can see that mysterious circular thing just over there from it. If we look from stone B over there, we have our first outlier. What are you thinking so far then? Has Stanton Drew got a problem? Let's go and take a look to this outlier. Come on you lot, then I need to hear your opinions. You've always got opinions. What do you reckon? Are we looking at a man-made stone circle here? So I think it's interesting with this outlier to have a look sort of down below and see what we think. Are they in socket holes? Have they been put on any form of packing stones? Or are they, as Aubrey Burl suggested, just fractured natural limestone? This is stone C then of the inner stone circle, and I'll adapt the helmet regulator on this to show you the position of that on Lieutenant Colonel North's plan. And interestingly, considering some of the criticisms of these, as I climb off of it, I think you can see some packing stones down there, possible packing stones. This is such a big circle I'm having to run. I'm coming round to stone D, which is the westernmost of the inner stones. Another great big lump of limestone there. Is that typical of a megalithic stone circle? Now, interestingly, if you look at the plan, you'll see that they also identified a number of socket holes, and they proposed that they were for missing stones, stones that had been robbed away. Now, some of those are on that perfect circumference, and it has to be said some of them aren't. There is also, somewhere over there, the remains of a ditch. I can't make it out, to be honest. And the idea is that that ditch once circled the whole thing, apart from the far eastern edge of the circle, which is on the sort of edge of the limestone pavement. Now, whilst we're at stone D here, if you follow me round here, do watch out for the muck. I've come a cropper with that on the first take of this. Just over that wall there, you could see one of the outliers. So we've got 2 outliers. That's the westernmost one. Let's go and take a look to it. Here we are then, another huge stone. Limestone once again. All of the stones are limestone, which we should note is what is naturally occurring here. It's a big old beast though again, isn't it? Oh, are they set into the ground though? Are they actually in sockets, or are they just left on the ground? I don't think we can say that they are glacial erratics. They're on top of the hill, and they are the same stone as every other type of stone that we see here. And if these outliers are actually part of a stone circle outside that inner ring, then we are looking at a concentric circle, a concentric stone circle. So not only the second largest stone circle in the country, but that rarest of things, it's concentric. Bit of YouTube pointing to mess up the focus out. That's the outlier. I want to swing the camera round there, and you can probably see up here we have a large boulder on the slope on this eastern side. The idea is that that is one of the stones that's toppled down the hillside. And then if we swing round here, we have some more evidence. We have a Bronze Age cairn. It's a lovely cairn. You've still got the well-preserved limestone curbing around the edge. We get up into the top. So we're talking sort of 2000 BC to 700 BC, something like that. But you may notice as I go into the top here, bit of a dip. You guessed it, 1778, an antiquarian raided this thing. He found human remains. He found a bead. He found an urn. And you guessed it, all that stuff is now lost. However, we do have a lovely Bronze Age cairn just to the side of our purported stone circle. The problems then. I have come back to this and I'm now going to start calling it the plinth, because we know that this was created in the 18th century. It is the base for the summerhouse of Summerhouse Hill. And as you look around it, you can see the remains of that really clearly. So people like Aubrey Burl propose that this hilltop was covered in this naturally occurring limestone. It was cleared when this was created. Much of that stone was actually used to build this plinth. Our stone circle stones remained, presumably because they were just too big to move. There is drilling, signs of drilling into this on the stone on here, and you can see that drilling on the stones out there in the circle, not least of all stone A, that one that is fractured into several parts. And then there is the problem of the cricket pitch. We know that by 1913, there was a cricket pitch up here. The surface had been levelled off artificially over much of the area of our stone circle to create that. We've also got ridge and furrow here, so it was indeed for many years high cultivated land. Then there's the problem with the stones themselves. They haven't been shaped. They are all completely different. And the socket holes, not all of those supposed socket holes, which nobody else has actually been able to really identify since the time of Lieutenant Colonel North, they're not all on that perfect circumference either. Well, I'm going to prove the naysayers wrong. There's the two western stones. If I come round here, very obvious large socket hole here. I'll show you on the plan which one that is. And then over there, I think I can see that ditch as well. It's very shallow, but I'll run along it. It might come in handy later to do some running, but I don't know if you could make that out. There it is. There's the ditch.
Upon reflection, I'm not entirely sure. In this shot, you can see a number of possible ditches, but look at the LiDAR. I suspect I might be looking at these things, whatever they are.
In the interest of balance, I will point out things that don't help our case. So we've got C and D are over there. So we're roughly in the centre of the circle here, and look at this. We have natural limestone still here. And you can see that it used to run off that way as well, right through the centre of the circle. Then there's the problem of the two westernmost stones over there. They are sort of on the dip slope, so they're sort of slightly off the edge of the hill, which seems a little bit odd. But Lieutenant Colonel North comes to the rescue again. I found a report, this time from 1951. He was active for a long time, it seems. And he reported that two old ladies in the village had recently died, and they found in their possession a couple of Langdale axes. And in his report, he mentions that another one had been found nearby here as well, fairly recently to that time. So, yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? We've got that cairn over there as well. It would be a great spot for a huge, great big ritualistic stone circle, that's for sure. But I'm not too certain. I can't decide.
I'll level 42 with you. I arrived with zero expectation this place would convince me, but then once I saw the thing, ... It is an extraordinary coincidence that 4 stones sit perfectly on a circumference like this. It could make me start believing in ley lines, just like Allotment Fox now does. And the location is such stuff as megalithic dreams are made of. A flat-topped ridge with views to the sea. The Bronze Age cairn builders clearly saw that. And maybe they saw a huge pre-existing circle from the Neolithic. There are problems. In all my antiquarian travels, I've never seen a stone circle comprising such huge and shapeless boulders. And the whole area is awash with limestone and rocky features, including in the middle of the circle itself. And incidentally, is that a ridge-top track there? And is that a view to Birkrigg Stone Circle? And is the split stone simply the result of attempts to remove? Considering the 18th century summerhouse and the surrounding parkland of Leighton Hall, one does have to wonder if this circle was the creation of the picturesque movement. A lot of effort and a lot of cost for that though. It's not in Stone Circles, a field guide, a more recent publication I've just discovered. And if you've been impressed by the special effects thus far, you've seen nothing yet, as we present our homage to the self-proclaimed genius Russell T Davies, hot on the heels of his successful Disney Who finale.
Now, of course, there is one way to find out for sure. Stone Circles means aliens, doesn't it? And I've got the time bangle with me, so it's charged up with Artron energy. I'm going to leave it there for a bit on full power, and that will send a signal or something into space, and we'll see if any aliens return to one of their known docking points. Well, I've left that running for about half an hour and there's no sign of them, so I'd have to say it's not looking that great, is it, for Summerhouse Hill, knocking Stanton Drew out of second place. On the other hand, oh, that really hurt. Anyhow, before they regenerate, I might regenerate, I don't know. Before they regenerate nowadays, they always do a bit of travelling around. So I'm going home, back to the studio, to the missus. Oh, thanks to all our members as well for supporting us. And please subscribe to the channel. It's the end. But the moment hasn't been prepared for, has it, Russell T Davies?
Well, if it's good enough for Russell T Davies, it's good enough for WC21.